Hello everyone, this is Space Café Podcast, and I am Marcus. Have I mentioned before that I work in the film industry? I guess so, but please bear with me if I'm repeating myself. It may make sense today. I develop concepts for documentaries, mostly science documentaries. I write scripts and also implement them. And at some point before it gets to writing things down, you have to sell your idea. First, of course, internally in smaller circles and then on and on. So how do you sell an idea? Times are changing in the film industry, of course, also. And people would rather see concept ideas than tediously read through them. So how can you show something without having shot footage for it yourself? That's right, you borrowed. And YouTube is the treasure chest for this. And so my sometimes tedious task is to scour YouTube for appropriate footage for things that I only have fragments of in my head, buried somewhere. During one of those searches, I came across a clip that left a lasting impression on me.
Okay, thank you.
It was a clip that depicted our lives as an interplanetary species in unexpected technical quality. I was impressed, I must say, and I still am.
I call myself a digital artist.
2 years later, I saw the clip on a very large monitor wall at the California Science Museum in Los Angeles, right next to the then decommissioned Space Shuttle Columbia. Anyone who made it that far must be a very special person, I figured.
I make visuals on the computer, mostly professionally.
So I went out to go look for the author. And lo and behold, I found him in Sweden.
By the way, thank you for agreeing to the office hour time slot.
Welcome, Erik Wernquist, to the Space Café Podcast. The search is finally over.
It's so much I've understood it, yes.
Buckle up, everyone. It's gonna be an incredible ride, that I can already say.
Oh well, yeah. I guess I call myself a digital artist, which means that I make visuals on the computer, mostly professionally, for on commission. But I try to find time to do my own work as well. So that
on work meaning that your creative chooses
exactly
a different outlet, right?
Yeah, and that tends to help in the professional department as well. If I get time enough to do something I want to do, sometimes that sort of generates requests for more of that kind of work.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is digital work like these days? Is it still confined to one piece of software, or how do you work? Or do you have to be a jack of all trades these days and master different kinds of things to come up with fancy stuff?
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing, but I would consider myself a generalist in that I use a little bit of range of various softwares. Although I'm pretty slow at learning and adapting, so I would like everything to be confined to one software that never updates or never changes, and I just keep on learning and mastering it. But everything changes and everything updates, and I have to, as everyone in this field, have to sort of try to follow along.
Sure.
But as of last few years, it's been pretty solitary because of the pandemic. I used to work I had a shared office with a lot of other people doing the same thing, which was really nice. But we had to, it was the family moved out of the city. So and that was just before the pandemic. So and in that move, I decided to try and find a smaller office closer to where we moved. But then we got COVID all over. So right. I found that we have a house now, so I could just as well stay at home.
Right.
And it has been that way since 2019.
You're based in Stockholm.
Yes,
Sweden.
A little bit outside of the city. Yeah.
Nice. Stockholm, that's like if you fly in on a plane, you see lots and lots of very jagged coastline.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that you have a house close to the water.
Well, actually we do, but we can't see it though. But we're out sort of halfway into the archipelago. So there's a lot of easy access to water, which is really nice. Both lakes and the ocean.
Nice, Erik. What's your connection? Do you have any connection to space? Because this is the Space Café podcast, obviously. So
yes.
For our audience, we need to sort of clarify why we invited you.
We should get to space, of course. Yes, my relationship to space is my. I mean, I'm just personally very interested in astronomy, and have been for as long as I can remember, and in particular. Planetary exploration, and even more.
So you have a personal interest.
Yes, and so I guess that's it. But professionally, I have been lucky enough to do some work in the field as well, which is, I guess, a result of my interest for it, but it's on a very amateur level. I mean, my own interest in astronomy. I have never worked with it, or I've never studied it. So it's sort of 50-50 reading astronomy, and the other 50 is science fiction.
And this is how I came across your path. You made a seminal video clip that is available for anyone to see on YouTube. It's called The Wanderers.
Yeah.
And in one of those, that was like 6 years ago, and I was completely blown away. So still massive kudos to you, and let's talk
thank you
at length about this video. And I checked it out today again, and I read a bunch of comments, and one guy wrote, "This is quite possibly the greatest YouTube video I've ever seen." So how does that feel, Erik?
That feels nice. Of course, there are lots of videos on YouTube, so it's nice to be considered a good one. Yeah, but I was. It was quite overwhelming to recognize the response that video got when I released. I think it was more than. I think it was. It's coming up to 10 years now. I think since I made it. but it's been I originally uploaded it to Vimeo, and it's there is
because the Vimeo guys have the more beautiful and artsy things, right?
I don't know why but it is something, and it still is. It's a better. It's the compression of the videos. I think YouTube is more heavy on the compression. Yeah. It's basically, I think the bitrate is lower on YouTube videos than Vimeo. But
so Erik, to our audience who has not seen the video so far, in a nutshell, what is it about?
In a nutshell, it is about what it could look like when people visit and explore and more than anything, I guess, enjoy the immediate nature around us in our solar system. It's no story or anything. It's just the general context is where it's a couple of visuals showing people or traces of people in planets or moons or worlds in our solar system.
So in fact, it's a jump into hopefully not so distant future. Taking a look at our solar system and how it is already populated by humans and how they interact and what they do in that solar system, right?
Yeah, or actually, I mean, the original idea with it, I think, was to just to show some of those worlds as I imagined them, with a human reference, because a lot of photography, obviously, from those worlds do not have human reference in frame, so it's hard to put them in a human context at times, and I guess you need to know a little bit about what you're looking at in order to put them in human context. And I just I'm always fascinated mostly by images coming from probes and satellites that are showing visible light, basically what it would, or an approximation of what it would like to look at that world or landscape or place with human eyes. That is what, or that was the original idea with that short film, to try and just visualize as much as possible what it would like to be there, as far as I understand it. Anyway, I there's a lot of guessing in it.
Sure.
When I made it.
Do you see yourself in this?
No. I mean, it's fair to say right away that it's quite obviously a very romanticized vision about what it would be like. I mean, in part, no idea if we're ever gonna be anywhere near something like what is shown in that film as far as human civilization. I would like to see it, of course, but again, it's I don't know. But then it's the reality of the nature or various natures in themselves. It's highly dangerous and unhealthy to. So I mean, just imagining walking around on the surface of Europa, looking at Jupiter is, I mean, would be in every sense of the word awesome, but it would be, I mean, totally lethal in just a matter of minutes, just being anywhere near that planet, unfortunately. And I don't know. I mean, science fiction wise, I guess you can imagine ways of getting around or protecting yourself from the radiation, but I don't know. I mean, given the obstacles of getting over that, I'm not sure we're ever gonna.
What's fun? What's funny in our current episode of the Space Café podcast, we have an astrophotographer in the studio, and he talked about the aurora and talked about its origins and the importance of a magnetic field to make life possible in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fun thing to just try to reconsider the fact that we're all fancying going to Mars and setting up shop on Mars, but damn it, Mars does not have a magnetic field. So it's a very, very dangerous place to be at, and it will never be different as long as this place does not have a magnetic field to shield any kind of inhabitant from the deadly radiation. So it's a romanticized vision we may have to be living on Mars at some point.
Yeah, but Mars is I guess closest in chronology when we're thinking about human presence in the solar system, and like you say, even there it's I don't know, in a way it's a little bit disappointing, and I remember it was a long time ago when I was very much younger, I had more of a vision or belief that this was sort of just around the corner, and then I remember being disappointed or feeling disappointment when I started to realize that this may probably not be the case, but then
I can remember like in the 80s maybe, I was a huge fan of Carl Sagan, of course.
Yes.
So we you and I may be of similar ages, and back then the visionary mindset of humanity when it came to space travel was vast beyond what we are experiencing right now. I mean, like, maybe we are experiencing more realism these days. So realism meaning to make hardware possible in the first place to go to those places. But back in the day, we were talking about, I mean, like Carl Sagan in Cosmos was talking about crazy spaceships and crazy projects, visionary things way beyond what was conceivable and still is conceivable. So maybe we are at the moment starting to work ourselves into that direction that was envisioned back in the 80s, in the 70s. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I like I think you said, we're getting more real about it. But I think even though Sagan had or could be sort of lofty in visions at time, I think he always had a good grounding on Earth in what he said as well, and although he allowed himself to dream vividly and very eloquently explain and share his own visions and thoughts and dreams, he was pretty. I mean, at least with the knowledge that was available at the time, I think he was kind of. I mean, not promising that we'd be settling the solar system anytime soon. And I think that's the sort of that's the difference between I don't know. When I was younger, in my 20s, I remember I thought, I mean, I wanted to see like cities and civilizations expanded in the solar system, but I don't think that's. I mean, today I have a hard time seeing the. Although I guess I'd like to see it, but I can't really see the utility for it necessarily. Though I mean, but I think just exploration, just visiting a human visiting Mars would just be fantastic in itself, and I just. Even the robots that we have there at the moment is just mind-boggling to think about. So, and I guess I mean what I'm trying to say is that I feel that is quite good enough. It's not a disappointment that we don't have sprawling cities in Mariner Valley.
I guess you also came across that note a couple of days ago that a piece of human trash was found on Mars, a piece of foil.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. So we should be super proud of ourselves. We keep on spreading the disease to wherever we go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But where? Okay. Is it verified? Where did it come from?
Yeah, it was a piece of foil that came off a lander.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
that piece of foil got stuck in between a rock, or between two rocks, and so of course it looks like someone dumped a piece of trash. But yes, it is human trash, and of course anything we bring to Mars is human residue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So we haven't like really evolved in that direction.
But I guess isn't that okay? Of course, unless or on the condition that Mars is indeed completely barren and void of any life on its own. I guess it's we shouldn't litter the place, obviously, but in the process of exploring it, I guess it would be okay to leave a piece of foil or even a piece of machinery or something there.
I think the jury's still out on that, because I feel like we're going to a sacred place in a non-religious way of putting it, and we are ripping that pristine place its originality.
Yeah,
So
okay, I see what you mean.
We're taking away something from
that's
place.
Interesting.
And this place will never be this place again, and that's something that troubles me. So maybe I'm being naive here, and but anything we do as human beings influences other places. So when we set our foot on something, we leave our mark, and B, destroy not on Mars, but on our own planet, we destroy populations of bacteria. So we kill and destroy and leave our mark and influence. So this is something that we need to come to terms with. And what we have been discussing on this podcast time and again is, if space travel gives us a chance to restart as humanity and learn from our past and do things better on a different place. I don't know if this makes sense.
It totally does, and it's interesting. I mean, you sound like the Reds from the. Have you read Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy?
No.
No.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, it's amazing. I very much recommend it. It's but yeah, it's a long, extensive, and very heavily researched trilogy about human settlement of Mars, and then actually the rest of the solar system as well. Though it was written in the 90s, so it has a little bit. There were discoveries that were made after he wrote it that I guess he would have written differently. We did it later, but anyway, there are plenty of different political issues and ecological issues and so on and so forth in that story, and lots of different ideologies of different kind of people, but there is one movement that is called the Reds. It's the and in that sense it's the Reds versus the Greens. The Greens who want to terraform and make Mars hospitable to humans. And the Reds want to preserve it from the very same reasons that you mentioned, that it's ancient, it is what it is basically, and we are irreversibly they are, in the sense of the book, are irreversibly changing it into something that it was not meant to be, if you will. But anyway, I think it's an interesting conflict, and it takes up it's a big part of the different stories in that trilogy, and it's kind of interesting to think about. Though I must say, I'm like you said, my jury is still out on it. I don't really know, because if it is essentially just a rock. And it could have some utility or help humanity in our future survival. I guess although it's hard to know for sure whether that is the case or not. But I guess I'd put my vote on humanity before the rock Mars.
You know what? As you're mentioning human survival, and this keeps coming or spilling. This is spilling to the surface time and again, that we are looking for a way out of our earthly predicament.
Yeah.
I think. And I think it's the easy way. It's the easy route. Let's just go to a different place and start over. And why not start here? And why not do our homework where we are right now?
Well, I should just rewind a little bit and say that I do not believe that Mars is a
second Earth.
No, definitely not a second Earth, and maybe it's only just a place to visit and plant a flag in. I don't really see I mean, what we should necessarily do there. That might change once we go there, but I don't see it at the moment anyway. That doesn't have any potential of being Earth 2, and it would be a very, very big task of making it that. And I mean, comparing that to what we could do back here instead is I totally agree with you that we should put our focus here. Although there's no saying we can't do both. It's not like all humans leave Earth and go to Mars, and it would be just a few, and but yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is it's just it would be worth trying, and unless we would be actually destroying the possibilities of other life there. But yeah. So yeah. Again, I just wanted to say that I'm not an advocate for going to Mars for the reason of running away from Earth too, or running away from anything. No, I mean, and that goes for going to space as well. I personally, I don't believe. I've had these kind of discussions a lot in the past. It's been a long time since I did, but I don't believe there is a either or. I think we could do both. I mean, explore space and work on Earth at the same time.
How do you see our situation on Earth that we're in right now? We are evolving quite rapidly in the space industry. So this is the new space age. That's pretty obvious. There was a first space age, the Apollo years, of course. Then it sort of got a little more slow, but now we're in that rapid new phase. At the same time, we're seeing trouble wherever we look on our planet. Do you see it as a watershed moment for something new?
Maybe, but not really having to do with any of the space exploration aspects of it. I don't think it's. I mean, it could be. Let's say, for example, a permanent settlement, a permanent human settlement on Mars or on the Moon, for example, would probably be or probably. I guess I shouldn't say probably. It could be quite educational. I mean, a lot could be learned from trying to both maintain and expand a settlement and in the long run perhaps a smaller civilization in those environments, and it could be useful for our situation here on Earth. But again, it may not be as well.
You know what?
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead. No, okay, but well, I don't think I'm not. I don't think that any of the movements that is being done towards the sky is or space in general is in the way of anything we do or could do here on Earth. I don't think I don't see it as a conflict. There's no either or for me there.
You know what could be a fun idea to think about is to bring our governments, the seats of our governments, to the Moon or to stellar bodies, because that would create immediate awareness for scarcity, for environmental awareness.
Yeah.
That could be interesting, because I think once you are surrounding yourself with that environment, you live and think differently for the rest of your life, ideally.
Yes, most likely, yeah. So you mean like an extended overview effect? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it could be like useful for anyone, I guess. But that's a very at the moment costly anyway. But it would be nice if there was a infrastructure that was easy and simple and cheap enough to get people to at least the Moon, and everyone could go once in their life, just live a month on the Moon.
Exactly.
And,
exactly. This is why I think we should pay our citizens when they're turning 20 to travel around the world. And the state is taking care of the expenses. Because I mean, like, this could sound like crazy, but at the same time, I think it widens the horizon of people, and it would reduce the number of right-wing atrocities and craziness on the planet in our countries, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I can't. Yeah, interesting to think about the cost for doing that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we're digressing here. Erik, it's wonderful to talk with you. Let's go back to the Wanderers video.
Yeah.
How did that come into existence in the first place? So was that commissioned, or was it a pet project, or how did it start?
It started. It was surely not commissioned, and I had been working a long time as both a generalist and also in animation. I was working I had my own little company, and I was working also as a consultant for another studio here in Stockholm, and it was great and fun, and we did a lot of commercial work for clients, both local and international. But given my interest in astronomy, I was always looking at visuals, digital and special effects visuals from various documentary features or series or movies and everything, and I always felt like I want to do that. But we never, at the studio I worked, or neither me personally, no one was asking us to or me to do anything like that. So I just thought, okay, and I had gotten a bit tired of doing what I was doing. So sort of I took a period between while still doing commercial work. I took a period of just, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do a couple of visuals from around the solar system that I think would be nice to see and put people in them. So I started doing that, maybe I didn't know if I was going to be able to put it together into something, but I thought at least I could show it up and see if this could generate some interest in getting me to do more work like this. And then as the shots progressed, I wanted to try and put them together in a context, and then I found the audiobook version of Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot, which I've read before, and there was this line there in the end of the first or second chapter, I think. He was ending a part about planetary exploration with just one of those perfect Carl Sagan lines that said or read, "Silently they orbit the sun, waiting," talking about the planets and the moons. And I had that in my mind when I was doing it, and when I found there was an audiobook, and he actually read that chapter with his own voice. So I thought, okay, great. I'll just take that line and end the thing with it. That would be great, just as a sort of punctuation to the thing. And then I found that okay, yeah, he's reading the whole. He was actually reading. I think he's reading in his own voice a third of that book or something. There is someone else reading the rest. But then I found that okay, there's more here. So I could take various sentences and cut and paste them together into sort of a. It's actually, I think it's 2 chapters that I've sort of combined parts of to make the the sort of the narration that turned out to the narration of the Wanderers short. And then I found that to be a very, very nice way of sort of wrapping it up and giving it more human and even historical context. And that was a nice way of sort of setting it up into a larger framework than just visuals. Gives them a little bit more meaning. So, sorry, yeah. The short or long answer to the question of yes, no, it was not a commercial thing. It was a personal passion project that I did while doing other commercial work, and luckily I didn't think because me personally I have very few, or actually no real. Or very few acquaintances or friends that are interested in this kind of thing. So I've always been experiencing myself kind of alone in this interest. So it was really nice to see that it got a very, very positive and broad response. And I was expecting it, especially, I mean, for anyone from within the space or astronomy community to not really recommend or praise it, but rather nitpick it for or criticize it for being too optimistic or romantic or what all the things you could say of it, but it was really nice to see that a lot of people from the space and astronomy communities found it interesting and inspiring as well. So it was really nice to see that there are lots of other people who like this kind of stuff.
Was there any kind of fancy name amongst the praising voices?
Oh yeah, but the first one was and that really made me very, very happy. He was early on to write a piece of it. Phil Plait, do you know him?
No.
He's goes under the Twitter name The Bad Astronomer. I think he's done a few YouTube series as well, and wrote a couple of books. Seems like a nice guy, and I've been reading his blog and reading or at least one of his books, I think. Anyway, he wrote a really, really nice piece about it in his blog, which was made me very, very, very happy, and I think that
visible.
That got it a lot of views in the beginning, I think. So and also that got me in contact with people in the space community and space industry as well. So I got to do a short film for Alan Stern about the New Horizons spacecraft. So we did that was done quite quickly. So I had a couple of other friends and colleagues work with me on that. But we made a short film about the New Horizons spacecraft that was released just a few months before the flyby, which was really great. I was working closely with Alan Stern, and before we had gotten to Pluto, it was really fascinating to get his and his team's information and insight about what it should look like, because we didn't have any picture of it. But though that film is mostly about there is a visual of Pluto in the end, but it's all the other visuals are about it's sort of a celebration of planetary exploration. So it's a lot of visuals from other places or all the other planets in the solar system, which really, as you probably understand, really up my alley. Just doing more shots of places in the solar system. And also I got to do that was a bigger and longer production, really great to be a part of. Made a film about the Cassini spacecraft before it made its final dive into Saturn. And that was also
a very
amazing.
dramatic and beautiful moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it was. I mean, during my adult life, it's Cassini. I think is the single spacecraft that has inspired me the most. I mean, in its discoveries and just presence in the outer solar system and around Saturn, and even I mean, not only Saturn. It's taken some of the most amazing pictures of Jupiter and some of the moons as well on its way out there. And I think, it was so successful and worked for so long time that it just felt like Cassini is the human. Yeah, it really was. It was the human presence in the outer solar system for over a decade, and a lot of the success I think goes to Caroline Porco and her imaging team, the Cyclops, I think that was called the team that was doing all those amazing photos and mosaics and stuff from Saturn. I remember one before when I was talking to the JPL people, that there was one, I don't remember his name, but we had lunch and we were just talking in general about the Cassini spacecraft and the grand finale and what it would mean to when it was over. And he said, the solar system will feel empty without Cassini. And that I hadn't thought of it that way before, but that really stuck with me. And I think I wrote something like that in someplace. But
I got very emotional on a similar line when last week the Voyager people announced that they are starting to shut off even more systems from the Voyager probes. I'm very emotionally, I'm personally very attached to those probes because they tell great stories. They have been telling those stories for 40 years, and now sort of they are they have come to the end of their lives finally. Maybe another 5 years, no one knows. But now they're being turned off. That, I don't know, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah. I completely see what you mean. I think but I think I felt a lot more like that for Cassini, because I guess I mean because the Voyagers were already up and away when I guess we were growing up. They were sort of already there and sort of had done most of the thing. I remember seeing some of the images it got in, but I was really young at the time. So
they launched in 1977, if I remember correct.
It's the same year I was born, actually. I wasn't really around. but the Cassini, I remember the launch, and I remember I've been following it for all its time, and really it sounds pretentious, but it felt a lot more like a piece of me, as I've been sort of absorbing it as it was like the photos and the flybys and the discoveries made by the Voyagers were already made once I got to realize them. But with Cassini, I was following it, and it was constantly sort of feeding us with updates and beautiful imagery.
How do you feel about the Philae probe being stuck on that rock and floating somewhere out there? I feel like also a little bit emotional about that little probe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I was following that closely as well. And that one got a really, really cool
coverage,
video and coverage as well. Yeah, but was don't remember his name. It's a Polish artist who made a really, really cool short film about the Philae landing.
Yes, I remember.
But yeah. But yeah, that was I guess I was kind of emotional about that as well. But nothing has topped Cassini for me as sort of personal involvement. Although I've just been following it, but that made it even a greater honor to be able to be a part of sort of waving goodbye to that spacecraft.
It's still sad to think of that moment.
Yeah, it is. But I hope that and there is. I mean, there will be another mission to Europa, the Europa Clipper, and there is. I really, really hope to be around. Remains to be seen if I will. But I mean, I think there are talks about sort of Cassini-like missions to the ice giant.
Yeah.
And that would be because, I mean, I guess I mean the Saturn and the Saturn system is still a big mystery, of course, but Cassini's presence there has unraveled a lot about it and made it more sort of accessible, if you will. While the ice giants Uranus and Neptune are just they are just two remote, faint glowing balls.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic to have like a decade-long orbiter missions around those to just bring those moons and worlds to life. And it's just mind-boggling to think. I mean, comparing to what Cassini discovered to see what could be found there on those worlds as well. So I really hope that those missions will be signed off and that will be around to see them get there. And
what was it? What was it like to, or were you approached by the Carl Sagan Foundation, Carl Sagan people, because you were using his voice, and these days it's a kind of tricky, I guess, with royalties.
Yeah, well, it was just a matter of rights, and that is all is settled now.
Okay, but there was a discussion.
There was a discussion, and it was a mistake by me, obviously,
not to ask.
Just use it and not asking. But I did honestly not think at all that it would get the nearly the kind of spread that it got that film. So and I've seen a lot of videos using Carl Sagan's samples of his words, and I just thought no one has been asking for this.
Exactly.
And I didn't really. I was lazy, didn't know where to turn, and I didn't think that that many people would gonna see it. Again, it's not commercial. It's there's no ads or anything on it. I've not made any money from it, so I thought it would be okay, which it was, but I should have asked them.
Sure.
But it's settled. Yeah.
I also found that video in the California Science Center. Did you know about that? Next to the Columbia, next to the Columbia spacecraft.
Okay.
There's a screen showing your video.
Oh, that's cool. I think there are a couple of museums I know that are using it, and I've been getting a lot of requests, and those have now been been taken both by me and the Carl Sagan estate. So, but I've never been to any of those museums. I would like to see it, of course, but I've heard it's being showed at some of those places. I don't know for how long that will be, because it's been,
I don't know. I saw
a while
it.
now.
I saw it like 4 years ago, so I don't know if it's still playing. By the way, it's so timeless. You said you made it like 10 years ago. It's still totally timely.
that is good to
hear.
And I hope so, because I put it far enough into the future, or possible future it would have been sad if it was like if I said that this is going to be the case in 5 years.
Sure.
Trust me.
Sure. You said you didn't make any money off it, but what you did make, I guess, is what it did do to you is bring you or extend your career paths, I could imagine.
Yes.
So maybe to our audience, your experience, follow your dream and something will come out of it.
Oh yeah, I guess so. In this case, it did. So and nothing wrong with. I mean, if you can, you should always follow your dreams. I was really lucky for it to, because like you said, it gave, or it opened the career path of making. Space visuals commercially,
sure.
which has been great, and I'm still sort of doing it. I recently wrapped up. I made a film for a Texan institute that's called the Limitless Space Institute, that is headed by or his science department is headed by Dr. Harold White. I don't know if you know him. He worked at NASA before. He ran their what was called the Eagle Works laboratory for advanced propulsion, and they were sort of doing research to research possibilities for advanced propulsion, and even doing like physics research for faster than light
travel,
warp warp engines and stuff like that. So I made a short film for their new institute about faster than light travel.
So when do we have that? Do you have any insights
that
you can talk
now.
about?
That is out now. It was released a few months ago. It's called Go Incredibly Fast. Basically like the Wonder is short. It's not meant to be a vision of what will necessarily happen. It's just though, and this one is more. It's kind of
more realistic.
No, I guess it's in a way it's even less realistic, because but what it does is I just wanted to, because this was a hard subject to address, I think, and the angle I found interesting was something that Harold had been talking about in his speeches before, but just basically lining up the immense distances between stars.
Yeah.
And taking what is possible with current level propulsion, and what could be possible even with sort of more. It's not fantastic, but we don't have the engineering skills to build fusion engines or antimatter drives and stuff like that. That is still within the realms of known physics, and even going there and sort of imagining a propulsion system built on sort of known physics but unknown engineering would still take us over 100 years to get to Proxima Centauri, our closest star. And I just wanted to sort of because I found that interesting to illustrate. So the film is basically doing that, and then it ends with showing, okay, so even at sort of the end of the front line of what is physically possible, it would take us over 100 years to get to the closest star. So we're not going to get anywhere unless we
come up with
come up with something new. So and then we could get basically anywhere. So it ends. It's sort of fantastical in the end. But I mean the research that they're doing is serious as far as I understand it. And I mean it's even though it may not result in a warp drive in 5 years, it could get us something else. So
you know what I'm sure you know that video anyways, but I came across a pretty fascinating real-time simulation on YouTube, traveling at the speed of light from Earth, and how long it takes to go to different places in the solar system. And this is so mind-boggling slow.
Okay, I know what you mean.
I think it takes like 43 minutes to go, I don't know, please do correct me, but I don't know, is it Pluto or a very distant place? But just in our own solar system, it takes incredibly long. And so
it takes 8 minutes from the sun to Earth.
Exactly. Yeah. So the speed of light seems kind of fast, but it's super slow.
Going out into space, it's really slow. So we have to really go. Go incredibly fast in order to get anywhere,
or bend space time and find shortcuts. But that's
exactly. So that is what they are indeed researching.
Really?
For
real.
It's
wow.
It's. I mean the system we use to portray in the short film is the using the Alcubierre drive that is basically creating a wave of a space-time wave that shrinks space in front of the spacecraft and expands space behind it. And in doing so creates a warp bubble that could theoretically get it up to the speeds far beyond the speed of light. Though within the frame of reference of the travelers, it wouldn't really. It's not traveling through space. So it's not really going in the speed of light as far as I understand it. It's not going through space. It's
interesting.
It's warping space itself. So
I guess in your trunk you'd need to bring a star as a power source.
Yeah, that's been the sort of the pop sci take on this whole thing, and that is, as far as I understand it. Anyway, personally, I'm not a physicist, so I wouldn't even go close in trying to explain what they're talking about. But the Alcubierre I think it was Miguel Alcubierre. I think it was in the 90s when he first proposed this. It was theoretical mathematics as far as I understand it. But he was talking about energy levels. I mean, beyond what's contained in the observable universe, or something like that. And then Harold White managed to mathematically shrink that down. It first into something like the matter contained inside Jupiter. And then even further down to something more manageable. But again, it's I don't know the maths or the physics behind it, but it seems that there's something interesting there, at least, although it might very well not be possible to actually build it, because I mean, doing that would violate some causality problems. I mean, going faster than light. So it might not be possible. There may be some other barrier in the way for doing it. But anyway, doing the research is I
cool.
guess useful. And again, even though it's not going to be possible, I just found it valuable to illustrate in the film that hey, we may not go very far.
Sure, anytime soon.
No, or maybe ever.
What is the film called again?
Go Incredibly Fast.
Go Incredibly Fast. All right.
Yeah.
Need to check it out right after this.
It's that may all be fine, of course. I mean, we're in no hurry, and personally, I think I mean, the solar system in itself is so enormous, and I mean, I guess it's not up to me, but I'd be fine if we only manage to explore that. Again, just
for starters,
just going for starters. yeah. But it could. I mean, it's so big that we could be fine as a species, just being here. I think.
Wonderful, Erik. Is there anything coming up we should know about? Anything you can talk about? Wanderers 2: The Return.
I don't know what that would be. It would be great, but unfortunately, no. There's no. What could that be about? Wanderers 2?
Seriously, The Return. Space travelers with their new space mindsets coming back to Earth.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's it could be something because it seems someone is going to go to the moon within the next decade or something. Yeah. That's that is interesting. Yeah. But no, there's nothing I can talk about, and there's no Wanderers 2.
All right. Erik, do Swedish people like coffee?
We do. Good. Very much, but unfortunately, I'm not drinking it anymore. I've gone over to tea.
All right, this is a coffee place, the Space Café Podcast.
Yeah.
And that,
but don't you have tea? In the Space Café?
Space Tea Podcast. I don't know. That sounds kind of strange.
but if it is a cafe, maybe you could serve tea.
Yeah, I will serve tea. So what are you having?
Earl Grey.
Okay.
Thank you.
With milk? No, you're Swedish. You don't spoil it, right?
No milk, thank you. And I didn't have any milk in my coffee either.
All right, Erik, we have a fun tradition at the end of our show as this is a coffee place, and sometimes you'd like to have an espresso in a coffee place. So why don't you share an espresso for the mind with us? Something that energizes our audience, our inspiration, something that inspires us. And you're free to pick whatever kind of topic you want to pick. Something that you think could be an inspiration for the audience.
Oh, that is really hard.
A quick shot of inspiration.
I guess I may need to think about that and come back. And I'm really hard. I have a hard time coming up with stuff like that on the fly. But I guess it would be something about about what we just talked about the great distances between stars, which is what what's been occupying my mind for the last half a year or so. But I guess that's not really inspiring, though. It's more depressing that we're stuck here. But well, I can't put this in eloquently, but while there is most probably not likely a place for humanity to expand as a species and civilization onto the planets and moons and worlds of our solar system, there is, and I think the voices for this are being raised again now that there is indeed a possibility for us to build our own worlds in orbit or in Lagrange points and or as spacecraft themselves. I mean, bringing back the high frontier of Gerard O'Neill, which again, came into my field of view a few years ago when I was doing a visualization for a documentary feature about him. But I find that because when I was younger, I wasn't really into that. I was thinking about humans walking on surfaces of natural worlds. And it was actually a bit because I never read The High Frontier when I was younger, but it's been really growing on me and coming back to me as I started working on that documentary feature and was building visuals of O'Neill cylinders and even stuff like Stanford tortoises and stuff that I haven't shown much of. And I found that I should say I find that immensely inspiring. That is more likely, I think, our future if we ever get there into the solar system and space in general.
If we get beyond the filter.
I think if we get there, we would still be on the same side of the filter, though. But so it may not be the far future, but it's close enough to that you could almost feel it. I think it's and I at least I find that immensely inspiring that we could live in worlds that we create ourselves. So we don't have to worry about radiation or too much or too little gravity and air to breathe and stuff like that. We could just make it the way we want it.
Someone recently said, I don't know who it was, now that we have become gods, we better be good at it.
Yes, of course, but that's always the case. I guess it's a long time since war, but with all new discovery, I get you feel a little bit closer to becoming God, if you will. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, it was a messy explanation, but that is something that I find extremely inspiring.
Super. Yep. Erik, I'd like to start with this episode, something completely new, and that is a Spotify playlist for the Space Café podcast. So you have all the honor now to share your favorite tune I should put on that playlist. So what is it that you would want to hear on a Space Café Spotify playlist? What kind of tune?
Oh God. Well, I'm listening a lot to a band called Carbon-Based Lifeforms, which is kind of space related, though it's not really. It's more like it's ambient, so it's more of a full album experiences than a single track. But I'll see if I can find. There is a one that I've actually used in visual reel that I really like. It's called 42 Degrees.
42 Degrees. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first entry for the Spotify playlist for the Space Café.
So this
podcast.
is the first entry.
Yeah, it's the first entry.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Okay. It's 42 or it has that it's written with this swiveling line,
yes,
which is I guess about 42 degrees.
Okay.
And the band is Carbon-Based Lifeforms.
Super.
But I don't know if you should start with it. But you could put once you get further entries, you could put it a bit further down. Yeah.
Erik, it was a great pleasure talking with you. Seriously, I mean it.
Thank you, Marcus.
It was great fun.
It's great.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for asking me. And I'll hope we'll be in touch again.
I'll leave the grand finale to Erik's clip Wanderers today. Before you start searching for Wanderers on YouTube, do yourself a favor and listen to it first. I have, without asking Erik's permission, because I simply forgot during that hour, I have attached the audio track of the clip back here. Now, you crazy travelers and space watchers, buckle up one more time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
For all its material advantages, the sedentary life has left us edgy, unfulfilled. Even after 400 generations in villages and cities, we haven't forgotten. The open road still softly calls, like a nearly forgotten song of childhood. We invest far-off places with a certain romance. The appeal, I suspect, has been meticulously crafted by natural selection as an essential element in our survival. Long summers, mild winters, rich harvests, plentiful game, none of them lasts forever. Your own life, or your band's, or even your species might be owed to a restless few drawn by a craving they can hardly articulate or understand, to undiscovered lands and new worlds. Herman Melville in Moby Dick spoke for wanderers in all epochs and meridians. He said, "I am tormented with an everlasting itch for things remote. I love to sail forbidden seas." time is not quite yet, but those other worlds, promising untold opportunities, beckon. Silently, they orbit the sun, waiting.